Welcome, Virgo and Virgo. Oh, there we go. Virgo cross watchers to your singles and new love read. So we're going to get where you are, where you're headed, and what you need to know. And then from this deck, we're going to get the next love interest. So the new love for Virgo Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs. And that will be time-stamped in the description box below. So I do apologize that the, excuse me, excuse me, that these are taking so long to get out. I've been in bed sick, so I'm back, and I'll be finishing out these singles love reads, and then of course I'll have the minis on Sunday, and then back to your regularly scheduled program. There we go. I found it. So we have the Nine of Swords here for where you're at, excuse me, and the Seven of Wands reversed for where you're headed. I kind of feel, I mean, obviously with this card, you're probably not feeling very good right now. It actually feels like, I almost want to say you may be feeling kind of, I don't know, like blue or kind of gross, kind of down. But it feels like what's going on around you doesn't match the level of sadness you have, if that makes sense. It's almost like if you're feeling lower than you feel, then like you kind of feel like you should, you know what I mean? Like there isn't enough stuff going on in your life for you to feel as sad or as low as you are. I feel like it's possible that you may not be entirely honest with yourself when it comes to that. I feel like it's like, yes, there's things that you like worked through and that sort of thing, but it almost feels like each of these swords in and of itself would be enough to make you feel that way. And it's almost like you're looking at it like, yeah, but I've already mourned that loss. That's already happened. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe you have, but I feel like there's this, it's almost like a stacked effect. You know what I mean? So if there's this kind of inner low that you can't really kick, it actually feels like it's because you're expecting yourself to be able to move on from all of this a lot faster than I'm not saying this in a judgmental way, okay, but it's like you're expecting yourself to be ready, willing, and capable for regular life when it's unreasonable to assume you can do so. And that doesn't mean you're not living your life sort of thing, right? But it's like I feel like if you were to sit someone down and tell them everything that's been happening, it's almost like they wouldn't be able to move. Do you know what I mean? Like the heaviness of what's been happening, it feels like it would be one of those things where like, if ever you've had one of those conversations where like you've been going through some stuff and you sit down with a good friend and you just tell them everything and they haven't known what's going on. It's that feeling of like they would just kind of sit back in their chair and be like, oh, you know what I mean? There isn't even like a holy shiz or a wow, I can't believe that happened. It's just almost like a very somber energy, like, wow. I feel like, and if maybe this is different for everyone, depending on, you know, if you talk to people around you, excuse me, but I actually, from what I'm seeing, people around you may know what's going on with you, but they may know what's happening in your life, but I'm not so sure that people understand how deep the suffering is for you right now. And that's not, you know, it's not your fault that if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to, right? It just feels like if there's times where you feel like, oh, I must be crazy to feel this way, I don't think you are. And I feel like if people kind of understood why these things are hitting you the way that they are, or why this kind of stacked effect of these tragedies really. It's, I'm not telling you what to do, but I guess it kind of is. It's like, cut yourself some friggin' slack, man. I feel like it's almost like part of you doesn't want to feel it. Not that you don't want to process it, but it's like you don't want to admit that it feels the way that it does. Excuse me, because it feels like a failure. And it's almost like in not admitting that it is a failure, but in admitting that that's how you feel about it, it's almost like you're able to kind of realize that that's not actually the case. You know what I mean? That even if you have failed at something, even if something didn't work out, failing at things that you're trying at doesn't make you a failure. Right? It's like failure is a verb. It's not a noun. It's not who you are. It's just something that happened with something that you were doing, right? Of course, that may not apply for every Virgo listening to this. And let me, like, none of you are failures. That's not what I just mean, like, it's almost like in realizing the reason you're so sad is because you feel like a failure. It's almost like something seems to kick in and you're like, yeah, but I'm not. You know what I mean? So it's almost like if you're concerned that admitting that something has failed or that something hasn't worked out and that has made you feel like a failure, it's almost like it seems to help you let it go, because I feel like cognitively that kicks in, that you know that you're not a failure because that didn't happen or that didn't work out in whatever way it needed to. Excuse me. Then we have the Seven of Wands reversed. So the Seven of Wands upright usually talks about kind of fighting for what you believe in and standing up for something that you've built. And it just kind of feels like there's this, I don't know, it's almost the energy of, like, let's say, for example, you were in school and there was somebody that was always, you know, kind of grinding your gears or coming in and trying to, like, get under your skin. And normally this person would come and get under your skin and you tell them off or whatever, right? Just to describe the energetics of it. But this time this person comes in and they're pulling this and they're dancing around and they're trying to get some attention, and it's like you're just kind of focused on what, and like, yeah, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? They can't get to you. There's no tete-a-tete. There's nothing there, because you just don't care. And it's not that you don't care about things that matter to you. It's just that there seems to be a lot of things that are kind of maybe that are like that maybe would have, you know, got under your skin before, that like there just isn't anything in it. I almost want to say, like, it's just not doing it for you. So it's almost kind of like, oh, that person can squawk all they want. It doesn't seem to be it's like it's not a fight you need or you're willing to have. It's almost like excuse me, you might walk right out of that. Let's say that you're in the cafeteria and this person comes up and starts squawking at you, and it's almost like in the past you may have stood up. Again, maybe you didn't actually do this, right? But it's the energetics of it. It's like maybe you would have stood up and you would have told that person to their face, and you would have told them off, and you would have this and you would have that. And this time it's like they come and they start squawking, and it's just like you grab your tray and like, ugh, and you just walk out. You know what I mean? There's no, it's just like, oh, I don't have time for this right now. It's almost like that. If ever you have, I think it was a comedian that said, like, as you get older, your area of concern tightens. You know what I mean? Like the amount of things that you care about, that you're going to give energy to, it closes. And so what you need to know here is, I mean, the King of Cups talks about that kind of emotional maturity. And I feel like you may have already been kind of like the person that took care of people. I'm almost hearing like maybe your friend group or the group of people you were around kind of called you like the mom of the group or the dad of the group or the parent of the group. My apologies. Should have said parent. Excuse me. But whatever. I'm not trying to cough into the microphone like that. It just kind of sneaks up on me sometimes. I feel like there seems to be this ambivalence that it seems to have a really interesting energy here. I'm kind of feeling that it's almost like I feel like you understand where your parents were coming from on something. It's almost like if there were people in your life that seemed to be hard to reach or unemotional or kind of almost disconnected a little bit, it's like whatever it was that they were doing, you get it now. And not that you didn't get it before, but it's like, but now you feel that same feeling of just, you're just not engaging with anything right now that isn't important enough for you to engage with. And I mean, of course, that's, you know, probably how we all live at all times, but there's been a real shift for you. And it's almost like because there's been this shift about how much you actually care about and what is worth your time and energy, it's almost like you've realized that each day has a finite amount of energy. And so there's only so much of you to go around every day. So it's like you're not even going to look up and look in the direction of things that you know are just going to either drain you, or it's like, you know, you're not going to be sitting here chasing your tail. So we're going to get the next love interest for those of you with Virgo Sun. Those of you with your Sun in Virgo. Oh. We have the Fool. There's something a little bit, I almost want to say like disheveled about this person. I feel like it's someone that seems to notice this change in you. And it's almost like they might try to, excuse me. Excuse me, my apologies. Excuse me. I feel like they might try to bait you. And not in a like, you know, they're really going to mess with your head sort of thing. But it's almost like if this person is used to being able to get your attention by, I'm just grabbing my water, sorry, one sec. If they're used to getting your attention by, you know, doing something stupid or kind of getting you to express concern for them by being foolish, it's not gonna, it's like you might notice that they're doing it, but I feel like you also know darn well that this person isn't going to take it far enough to hurt themselves, so you're not going to give it any, like you're not going to pay it any mind. And it feels like such a relief for this person. It's almost like it's a signal to them that you're going to be okay. I think it's like even if they didn't know, like not intuitively, but like even if they hadn't quite, even if they couldn't put their finger on it, it's almost like this person seemed to do this kind of stuff and get on your nerves. It's almost like it was them kind of keeping an eye on you somehow. And the less that you engage with their nonsense, it almost feels like, oh, like to them, it feels like this energy of like, oh, okay, all right, good. And it's almost like you might see a different side of this person come out and you're kind of looking at them like, who is this person and what have you done with the person that, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's actually because they might have understood you more than they let on, or kind of more than they I feel like then even they realized. And it's almost like when they see you acting in this really different way, someone that may have been really immature and, pulled your proverbial pigtails to get your attention, it's almost like they're going to come and sit next to you and act and have a full-blown adult conversation. And I feel like at first you'll probably, obviously you're not going to, believe that, but I feel like you're going to see a really different side of this person come out. And I feel like there's this, I feel like they already respect you and you grow to respect them. And I feel like it's that immature whatever that they were pulling before that obviously may have, excuse me, impaired your ability to have the same level of respect. They do seem to be quite taken with you. I feel like this person looks at you as out of their league sometimes. And maybe that's why I feel like that might be why they pulled your pigtails, so to speak. It's like bad attention is better than no attention at all. And they kind of assumed that there would never really be anything there, right? And it's not that there wasn't anything there, but it's almost like they never really thought that it would kind of move on from that dynamic. And I feel like now they see you kind of moving forward. It's almost like there's this big red flashing sign that they need to move their ASS, I'm going to be honest. It does not feel like it's something that happens overnight. It doesn't feel like this person comes rushing towards you. It feels like they kind of get the lay of the land. And I feel like it takes a while for this person to this is kind of what it feels like. It's almost like you may be used to them pulling your pigtails, and this time they come and sit next to you and have a real conversation, and they want to work on something with you, and you're looking at them like, yeah, okay, we'll do that. But you're kind of giving them some side eye to make sure that this is not that it's another ploy, because I feel like you'll know that it's not, because they've never spoken to you that way before. But it doesn't really feel like it's something that you're just going to let in right away, because it's like the dynamic seems to shift. So it's not a dramatic shift. It's like it goes from being dramatic to not. And I feel like in this same energy where you're just not letting things get to you, it's like the shift in their energy at first isn't enough for you to be like, okay, well, what's going on here? Let me figure this out. Because you're in more of this, like, you're just going to take things as they come, and you only have so much of yourself to give out every day, right? It's that finite energy sort of thing. I hope that made sense. So, can we get a card for the next of interest for Virgo Moon? Those of you with your moon in Virgo. You have a Magician. Oh, wow. Okay. Excuse me. Excuse me. So, that was the wrong deck. Well, we got the card now. The right energy is going to come out either way, right? It actually kind of feels like a fire and ice sort of thing. It's almost like the juxtaposition between your energy and theirs is like you're this kind of benevolent ruler, and they're somebody that it's almost like they act like they're everybody's best friend, but it's like, but you would never want to be on the other side of that coin with this person. Oops, sorry, I'm looking at the cards, not the camera. it's almost that kind of Queen of Wands energy, right? It's like when you have the Queen of Wands on your side, they are a formidable ally. They are someone that is going to fight for you, that's very passionate, that's driven. But on the flip side, if, you know, the Queen of Wands is not somebody that you want as an enemy. They're someone that's charismatic and they can kind of sway people's opinions, right? Excuse me. But I feel like this person seems to really like that they can't, what is it? They can't seem to have the same effect on you that they do on everybody else, right? It's like their powers are useless against you. And I feel like they really like that. I feel like this is somebody that, it's one of those people that they're like wicked smart. And it's almost like it's practically child's play for them to be able to manipulate people. But you are not someone that is manipulatable, if that makes sense. And it's not just that you're not easily manipulatable. This person, it's like you don't play the game, right? And I feel like there's something about that seems to really make this person sit up and take notice of you. It's almost like they never met a person they couldn't kind of like weasel their way into or kind of get in there and get what they want. But with you, they can't. And it's like, because they can't initially, it's almost like they're actually hoping that they never can. Do you know what I mean? It's like they feel like they've met, not met their match, because it doesn't feel like this person would be like obstinate or argumentative, but it feels like they've met an equal, someone that is equally intellectually matched. You know what I mean? And I feel like there are times where it's like they really don't like that they can't manipulate the situation. And it's almost like you might notice that when their life gets really chaotic, they'll come in and try to manipulate you. And it's, bear with me, okay? It's almost like you're their touch point. You know what I mean? It's like as long as you, this might sound really strange, okay? As long as there's someone like you in the world that they can't manipulate, it's almost like it grounds them. You know what I mean? It makes them feel like they're a real human instead of like a ringleader, orchestrator, like a puppeteer. I feel like they actually really hate it that people are so easily manipulated by them. It's almost like it's just too easy sometimes. And then once they've manipulated somebody, it's almost like they can never really respect that person. And I feel like what's interesting is that they seem to be looking to you to be a leader for them. You know what I mean? It's almost like because you can't be manipulated, they seem to trust you, like, still tentatively, but because there's that, what is that? It's almost like that long-standing, I mean, obviously you're an earth sign, right? But it's that there's something about it there. It's like your unwavering, ability to see through people's shiz, to be able to, it's for some reason you see right through this person, and that makes them feel like they don't have to put that mask on. They don't have to be that person. You know what I mean? It's like they can leave their Queen of Wands hat at the door. And I feel like you're going to start seeing a really different side of this person if you want to. If you know what I mean? Like if you choose to let this person in like that. I will, it doesn't really feel like it works out. Not at least initially, not from what I'm seeing. You seem to be unchanged, or like you kind of have this really consistent, mature energy. And I feel like this person, it just kind of feels like that. It's almost like they need somebody like you in the world, so they know that things are still concrete, that there's still something that's really tangible in this world. But at the same time, I feel like there's somebody that would have a lot of people around them, that would have like many lovers, right? Like it doesn't feel like it's somebody that would be a good match for you initially. And it's almost like because there's this energy of them wanting to keep testing you, wanting to keep see if, you know what I mean? It's like when you're a parent and you set rules for your kids and they go through these different stages where excuse me, where it's like where they hit that teenage stage and now they want to push all the rules, they want to see where the boundaries are, right? And they test you, but that stage eventually ends. And I feel like because you're in this energy that's this like unbothered, you're not dealing with anyone's nonsense. I feel like if this person pulls this testing you energy for too long, that you just kind of start to shut down towards them. And it's almost like, and if that happens, when they see that happening, they're going to start testing you even more, and that pushes you away even more, right? And it's just kind of like, it seems to ruin the dynamic between the two of you that have potential if they push it like that. So for those of you, excuse me, with a Virgo Rising, so we have the Sun, that would be the Knight of Cups with the Tower. Oh. Interesting. Just a second. I'm just going to sit with these cards for a second, if that's all right. You know what it feels like? It's the energy of somebody that that is like, they could have just tripped and fallen in a puddle, and they get up and like brush the hair out of their face and be like, hi, how are you? You know what I mean? I feel like there's somebody that seems very youthful, very joyful, but also with a certain amount of kind of chaos. I do feel that what they kind of want to offer you here does seem really genuine, and they don't seem to have bad intentions, but it does feel like it's almost that energy of like bad luck follows them, or at least that's what they want to think. But I feel like if they would turn around and face whatever this is, that it's almost like they would have that same evolution that you did into this King of Cups energy. It's almost like they're trying to run away from growing up. Sorry, I'm just going to grab a drink here. And I feel like they are very attracted to you, and they would be extraordinarily flattered if you paid them attention. It's almost like this person, I'm getting like this kind of, you're wondering if they're going to be too hot to handle. You know what I mean? Like, is this person, not that they're, are they worth the risk or the time or whatever, but more, it's almost like it's a little bit tricky. Let's say like you're sitting here and they're sitting here, and like to get to them, you have to kind of traverse this thing, and you're kind of looking at it like that path to them seems to, I feel like you do want them. You're just not sure if the path to get to them is really something that you want to do. You know what I mean? It's like, is the risk of getting there and the risk of, you know, kind of, it's almost like you have to go through this path where there's like fire coming up out of the floor, you know, like an Indiana Jones sort of thing when there's all those booby traps everywhere and you're looking at it like, do I really want to get burned here? Do I really want to walk away with my jacket and my, you know, my cape, robe, whatever this is, like getting kind of singed on the way, right? You're looking at it like, I feel like it's an undecided energy right now. I feel like you're not entirely sure if this is something that you want. I feel like you're both very attracted to each other, but whether or not something actually even comes out of it, it's almost like they want it, but they don't want to have to work that hard for it. And I feel like it's almost like you're looking at it like, well, if they want it, they'll work for it. You know what I mean? And that's, it's not about either of you being this gender or that gender or assigning, you know, typical gender roles, right? It's more about you both see each other, you're both attracted to each other, but it's almost like each of you seems to feel like the other person is kind of has to prove themselves to you that they actually want you, when it's like, could the two of you just go on a date first? You know what I mean? Sorry, that's just me being snarky. Excuse me. I also feel that it's possible that this person may have a little bit of a reputation. A little bit of a kind of a heartbreaker. I'm not really getting that there's someone that's a third party kind of person, but maybe someone that has, it's almost like they might have one of those, like that mischievous grin. They might be someone that's, I feel like they might actually be really good looking. And there's something about their, this might, if ever you've seen that show Vikings, and I mean, there's a lot of good looking people in that show, obviously, but the guy who plays Ivar, when he smiles with a bit of a mischievous smile, it's almost like, I'm not explaining this well. They seem to feel that they can lean on that attractiveness to get you to come to them, and that's not gonna do it for you. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, okay, it's a nice package, but what's gonna be in there when I, you know, pull that ribbon off and open the box? I feel like they're giving you some real like come hither eyes, and I kind of feel like you need to see more of who this person is before you go for it. It's almost because they seem, for example, you'll come in not a hair out of place, and this one comes in having just fallen in a puddle. It does feel like if this person kind of didn't have this undercurrent of this mischievous energy, that you actually would be a lot more willing to you'd actually be a lot more willing to get to know them. But because they seem to have that air about them, it makes it, it's almost like it increases the risk. Not the risk of this happening or that happening or anything in particular even. It's just, it increases the possible risk of getting involved with this person. Excuse me. Okay. So for those of you, excuse me, with your Venus and, Virgo. If there's only 5, I'll take it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, you guys are killing it. Okay. So we have, excuse me, the 6 of Swords, the Page of Cups, 6 of Wands. What is this? 10 of Wands and 4 of Swords. Okay, 1 second. I need a minute here. So for those of you with your Venus in Virgo. Ooh. So I feel like somebody has a lot to say. A lot. It's almost like you, this might sound strange. Maybe this is really specific. It's almost like you could be canoodling in the corner with somebody and someone else comes in and it's like, and then this big kind of kerfuffle happens. It's almost like there's this huge argument, but it's not even between the two of you. It's almost like this huge argument happens in front of both of you. And I feel like there's something about that, whatever that kerfuffle is. It could even be like that the two of you are at a restaurant and something happens out on the street or something like that. But whatever it is, I feel like, excuse me, excuse me 1 second. Excuse me. I feel like there just seems to be this really protective vibe between the two of you. And I feel like there's something about how you both react to whatever that outside argument or whatever goes on outside that seems to almost kind of allow each of you, there's this mutual understanding that there's a certain camaraderie or compassion or kind of that it seems to, you know, when you meet somebody and you're both trying to like size up the situation, and then after a while you know them, and when you know them, the two of you just know that there's something there between the two of you, right? That's worth exploring, that you both are kind of like, okay, yeah, let's see what happens here. And I feel like there's something about that and the way both of you react to it. It's almost like when everything dies down, the two of you will look at each other and you say the exact same thing or something like that about whatever happened. And there's something there that it's like, not that watching someone else argue bonds you, but there is something there that there's a real camaraderie that seems to develop between the two of you because you see it really, it's like the things that you pick out of that situation that are important. It's like if there's a couple arguing, right? It's like you both focus on the same thing. You know what I mean? And I feel like it's refreshing for someone to see the world the same way that you do. And not that you want to be with somebody that's exactly like you and you don't want diversity, blah, 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 right? But of course you want to be around somebody that sees the world a little bit different. But the things that strike each of you as important about what happened, it's like the thing that each of you think about the situation that's number one, you both automatically agree, right? And it's like, and you each have, let's say there's 10 things that are important about the situation. Maybe they're in a little bit of a different order, but you each have the same top 10 things or top 5 things or whatever it is. And it's that thing of feeling like if you spent that lifetime trying to translate your soul for people around you that don't understand you, there doesn't seem to be that like feeling like you have to over communicate, feeling like you have to, you know, kind of walk through everything all the time to make sure that this person isn't misunderstanding you. There's this kind of mutual something between the two of you. And actually, I feel like a big part of it is that, don't worry, I won't tell anyone, Virgo, but you're both big softies. Like it actually feels like the two of you seem to, It's that energy of like two people who are able to be very mature, who both have that capacity, who are able to be kind of like childlike and playful with each other. You know what I mean? Because neither of you is going to take it too far. Neither of you is going to take it to that place where like, okay, that hurt my feelings. That was too far. You know what I mean? Like there seems to be something there where the two of you really get each other. And that doesn't mean that there's no diversity between the two of you, right? But because it's like the top 5 values in life or the top 10 values in life, you're on the same page about, it just kind of feels like you get each other. And it's almost like, I feel like sometimes people might say like, oh, you're the carbon copy of this person, or they're the carbon copy of you. When it comes to how you even react to things, right? It's like it's almost like if you guys and your friends are out at the bar, this is just kind of how I'm seeing it. And someone is telling this story, and it's like the two of you seem to have the same reactions at the same times. People would almost ask if the two of you are related somehow, because, and not because, it's not an incesty sort of thing, okay? But because you guys are on the same wavelength to such an extent, it's like either the two of you have known each other for a lifetime or you must be related. That seems to be the vibe that that even other people are able to see. I hope I didn't upset anybody with the related thing. It's not anything negative, okay? It just seems to be, it's almost like, obviously this is going to be for everybody, but like maybe one of your names is Christopher and one of them is Christine, right? So it's like Chris and Christine or something like that. It just feels like it's something that is, it's almost like it seems to be, I don't want to put it pressure on it. It seems to be kind of a perfect fit. And I feel like that perfect fit is because neither of you is, it's almost like neither of you needs the perfect fit when you find each other. And that's why it seems to work so well, because it's almost like you're both confident in who you are. And you both, it's like neither of you is looking for a piece of arm candy, or it's almost like, that's not the right way to describe it. Neither of you is looking for a partner to validate you. Neither of you is looking for a partner so that you excuse me, so that you have, some as a status symbol, right? It's almost like maybe neither of you is really truly searching for a partner when you find each other. And that might be why it's almost kind of like, wow, something kind of nice might really happen here. And I feel like because the two of you, instead of like, oh, this is my one true love, and you kind of fall head over heels, because it isn't like that, because it's this kind of like camaraderie in it, it feels like it's a love that grows out of a friendship that neither of you is in a rush to push into something. Neither of you is in a rush to develop it. You're just kind of enjoying letting it become what it is. That I feel like each of you really seem to look at the other person, especially as the two of you kind of get on in the connection, depending on how far each of you wants to take it, right? It's almost like you might not realize how alike you are until you start kind of describing this person to someone else, right? And they're like, wow, it seems like you really like this person by the way you talk about them, right? And you'd be like, yeah, I guess I really do. Like, it just feels like, because neither of you is trying to assign something to it, you're not trying to stick it into or make it fit into this particular narrative that each of you has, because neither of you needs it. There's something really different about it. So I think I'll leave it there, Virgo. If this reading resonated, of course, I hope that it was helpful and brought you some clarity. Well, I'm having a bit of a mental block here. So I think I'll just wrap it up. I love you guys. I hope you have a wonderful week. And there won't be any videos coming out this Thursday. I simply won't have enough time to get 12 longer videos done. So I will be doing, of course, the mini weekly love reads will be coming out Sunday morning, and then we'll be back to we'll be back to the regular schedule. I love you guys. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.